I get money from the cigarette smoker and I'm paying the guy for his lung cancer. You know, like, this is no more economical. You know what? Yeah, okay, yeah, just ban it. Why? It's no more beneficial. Yeah, so sometimes it's the economic structure in some society that make them think, let's ban cigarettes. Yeah, but alcohol creates more problems, but they have not banned it. Why? Look at the money they make from the tax on alcohol. Anyway, so key here is it's not black and white. Every black has a little white in it. So always think of when we want to solve this problem, who is it that is benefiting from the problem, and how do we do it gently? That's why when at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, some problems like removing alcohol from society, gently. You want to remove cigarettes from society, gently. Some over 10 years, some over 20 years, depends on what's the issue and what works. Also, just because something is harmful doesn't mean we should employ Saddu Zaria. Is it possible that somebody will die or be hit by a car on his way to work? It's possible. Do we say because it's possible we will ban people going to work? Yeah, or ban people from driving because you could die in a car accident. So it's not possibility, it's the probability. Yeah. What is the probability that it will happen? Is it possible that a woman will be raped on her way to the mosque? Possible? Yes. Probable? When last did it happen? Can't even remember. And so, this line at the bottom here, if it is a rare occurrence, it will hardly ever happen. They leave it as mubah. But as you move towards higher probability, when it is almost certain it will happen, then they feel comfortable saying haram. Yeah, you are almost certain this will happen. If tension starts growing between one community and another community, okay, and you can see the tension is rising, there was a little fight somewhere, and you see tension still rising, and then you found that all shops that are selling guns, swords, weapons, people are buying a lot. What do? Ban it. Yeah. Why? If you allow this, when the fighting starts, even your police can't stop the fighting. Yeah, too many weapons out there. Why? Because you are nearly almost certain that since fighting has started, more weapons will just make the problem worse. So, Saddu Zaria comes in when, not because it is possible, but because it is highly probable, almost certain it will lead to. So, we will look at a few areas where rukhsa come in, where maslaha, istihsan, not Saddu Zaria in this case, but this rukhsa comes in to make halal what is normally haram. So, to do that, they go with the maxims of necessity, al-mashaqqa tajlibu taysir and al-darar yuzal and all of that from usul and qawaid. So, when it comes to classifying necessities, the difficulty of the problem of a person, let me give you an example. He is a doctor. When you go to see the doctor, you have to follow some protocol. Okay? You can't just go into his room. No. You go to the receptionist, this is my name, this is what I want to see him for, etc., etc. You open a file, you do that here, right? In the hospital. So there's all this procedure, and then you want to see him, take a number, wait, there are other people in the queue, your turn comes, you go, you knock on the door, you don't just jump in. So there's all this procedure. If somebody comes in walking, what's your problem? I had a bad sleep and back pain over the last 2 days, so I want to see the doctor. No problem. What's your card number? Here, dub, 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 dub. In 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they have gotten everything. You go and sit down and you wait. Why? Because, yes, you need to see the doctor, but your problem is not too serious. So, you have to respect protocol. The laws have to be respected. What happens when somebody has just been hit outside the hospital He's bleeding from his ears and he's unconscious. Do you follow protocol? No. Okay. The same thing in Sharia. So let's just say the doctor is the creator, Allah. He has put certain laws. When you are in tahsini situation, you are fine, you must follow all the laws. When you are in darura, the laws relax. Yeah. You're going to die, you can eat the pig, if that's what will save you. You're going to die, the medicine that contains whatever, and laws start to relax for people in darura. But there's people who are okay, there's people who are in darura, and there's people in between. In between is the big problem. Yeah, that's where there's nuance. So there you look at which laws will you relax for the person who is not in darura but is in a case of haja. So first they need to look at which person is facing darura, which person is facing haja, and which person is in a state of tahsini. No problem, everything is fine. Then they look at the haram. These laws that you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And they classify them into two broad categories. Haram of the means and haram of the ends. Okay, so it's like saying the minor harams and the bigger harams. So zina is a haram of the end, haram bidhatihi. It is the problem. The haram of the means is the haram of all the things that lead to zina. The looking that is haram because it will lead to this one. The touching is haram because it will lead to this one. The being alone in a room is haram because it will lead to this one. The removing hijab is haram because it will lead to that one. So all these are haram of means. The buying of alcohol, the selling of alcohol, all haram. Why? What's the end? Exactly, the thing it will lead to. Okay, that final drinking and being intoxicated, that is the big problem. So all this, don't sit at a table where alcohol is served, don't buy, don't sell, don't transport, don't whatever, all these are means. Which one is bigger haram? The means or the end? The end. The end is the big problem. Okay, so for the sake of ranking, it's all haram. Let's be very clear about that. It's all haram. But which one is a greater haram? The end is a greater haram than the means. So if you're going to relax something, you don't start relaxing the ends. Okay? If you're going to start saying, okay, because of your situation, you are in faman ittura ghayra baghin wala adin fala ithma alayhi, or you are in a case of darura or haja, and you say, okay, we need to relax some of these laws. We're not going to start relaxing the end. Yeah, why? You're not in darura. Darura, we can relax the ends. And because we can relax the ends, we can relax the means. If you're in haja, we can relax the means, but not the ends. Haja. It's darura that will make us relax the ends. So, you'll...
Sometimes al-haja will be instead of darura, right?
Excellent.
So how do we know this?
Good. We'll come to that.
Yeah.
I like you. So, one thing to have at the back of our minds, this is what makes this question difficult to answer, is because there's overlap between tahsiniyat and hajiyat and daruriyat. You know, when somebody is getting sick and he is walking and then he starts feeling weak and then he starts crawling, where do you draw the line? There's overlap. This scholar says, no, he's okay. I said, no, he's not okay. No, he's in darura. No, not yet darura. Still haja. So number one, there's a relative side to that part of how serious is the problem before we start relaxing laws. We differ in how serious we assess the problem. That's number one. But at least we can say some are haram of the means, some are haram of the ends. Okay? Unfortunately, even there you have overlap. Some of the means are so close that some scholars say, man, this is too big. So it's not an easy question to answer. But if you are going to do, if you are a mufti or a judge, you have to answer. But the key thing is to understand the procedure so that it's not arbitrary. So simple equation. The greater the hardship, the greater the relief. We're together on that? The more serious the problem, the more the laws we will relax. Okay? However, when somebody down here is in a case of darura, okay, down there is in case of darura, haram of the ends and haram of the means become permissible. For somebody in darura, you are nearly going to die if you don't drink this alcohol. Transporting it is not a problem for you. Buying it witness, that's not a problem. Why? That's haram of the means. Why? Because even the drinking is permissible for you. That's the only thing that will save your life. Eating pig, accepting riba, you are in darura, the signing, the everything is permissible because of darura. If, however, you don't have a problem, you are in the tahsini, luxury, everything is okay, haram, all haram, just stay. You can only do halal. But if you are in a state of haja, important need, not as serious as darura, but not comfortable, then haram of the means becomes permissible. Haram of the ends stays haram. Minor harams become permissible. Major harams stay haram for people in haja. So, for example, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, somebody had a nose. During Jahiliyyah, his nose was cut. Okay? During Jahiliyyah, his nose had been cut off. And he put a silver mold on his nose. But it was irritating the skin and it was smelling. But he didn't want to use a gold one. Because what? Gold is haram for men. But he goes to the Prophet ﷺ and tells him, this is my problem. In my language, they say the foot of the elephant has stamped on the footprint of the camel. Bigger priority. All right, inshallah. Okay, we'll just rush through this one. So basically, what was the guy? The guy with nose, whatever. So he goes to the Prophet ﷺ, asks, can he wear one with gold? Because gold does not react with the skin. The Prophet allowed him. But he's not in darura. He's not going to die. But he will look ugly. And it's smelling. So it's haja, but not life-threatening. There are many examples. You'll forgive me for not having time, but if you look at Ahkam Quran, what do you call it? Sulami. Izzuddin bin Abdul Salam has written on this area, Qawaid al-Ahkam, full detail, full examples. This is your area. We'll summarize the main points here. In a state of darura, most prohibitions of means and ends are regarded as temporarily permissible, mubah, even mustahab, for the duration of the necessity. For the duration. When the problem was gone, then we go back to whatever. In a state of haja, those prohibitions that are haram of the means are temporarily permissible, while haram of the ends remain prohibited. We're okay with this? Number 3, in a state of haja temporarily permits an action regarding which there is a debate or disagreement among scholars regarding its prohibition in Sharia. Okay? Something where scholars differ. So, for example, on the topic of music, you will find many scholars saying it is haram, flat. Others like Ibn Hazm, Imam Shawkani, Qadi, the Maliki gentleman. Anyway, and even Ghazali and a number of others will say, no, it's okay. So you find Ibn Rushd, there's the other one, Ibn al-Arabi. Anyway, so you find, okay, different among scholars. No problem. But I may say, no, but to me it's haram. But I agree scholars differ. Then we get a patient, a hospital doctor tells you, I work in a psychiatric hospital and I deal with a lot of people who have dementia or mental whatever and depression. This particular patient is always sad. The only thing that lifts him up and he starts to sing is when he hears the songs of the 70s. Or you put some small music on for him, he likes to hear that one. Then whatever. If no music, after 30 minutes, dumb, doesn't like to talk, doesn't whatever. Yes. So they actually call it music therapy for some people. Yeah. So, anyway. Yeah. And actually some have art therapy. Yeah. Not drawing human beings, but just art, just drawing, just like children. Sometimes actually that's what happens. Elder people reach an age where they start becoming like children. The Quran will tell you the same thing. But just like children, you sing to your children, they want somebody to sing to you. Yeah. If you're used to Quran, they like to hear recitation. But then they get tired of your voice. Can you give me another voice? Okay, we'll put Sudais instead. Okay, we'll put this other scholar instead. Anyway, time is not on my side. Sorry. So, because this person is not in Darura. This old man is not in Darura. It's not life-threatening, but it's Haja. Since there's a difference of opinion among scholars, then even my friend who says it is haram and me who says it is halal, or me who says it's haram and he says it is halal, for him is in haja. You use the difference of opinion to solve problem of somebody in haja. Whereas if he is in tahsini situation, we carry on the no, don't listen. It's haram. He will whatever. He brings the scholars. But the moment you are dealing with a case in haja, then yassir wala tu'assir. Don't make it difficult because of your own ijtihad when you know there's another ijtihad that solves haja, ajl mushakka, tajlibu taysir. You make it easy for him and let that be a rukhsa.
If it is ikhtilaf shaz,
The moment there is a khilaf on which you will say there is clear difference of opinion, okay? What you are looking for is rahmah. Yeah, so the maqasid there is how do we, so for example, as you said, there may just be one person. The thing is, one person says something. 99% say something else. Who is right and who is wrong? It could be the one person. Why? Even in medicine. Okay? Yeah. When somebody says, this is the best medicine for this, all the doctors say, no, we don't know this medicine. Yeah, you don't know. This is the latest medicine.
if it is in case don't know what
Sorry?
they are saying, it is not. If they are saying it is not,
Wait, if everybody agrees it is not?
yeah,
The thing is, in usul, we don't have jamhur. We have ijma. Ijma is 100%.
yeah,
Okay? So that one can be a basis of ruling. But the moment it is not ijma, it is jamhur. Jamhur is not among the usul of fiqh. Okay? And that's why the moment somebody breaks the ijma, it is no more ijma. Majority opinion, minority opinion is not the issue. Is there khilaf? If there's no ijma, then there's khilaf on it. The moment there is difference of opinion, you use that as rahmah. Sorry for rushing. Yeah. So, okay. Then the point the brother touched on. When a society is facing haja, not now one person haja is bad. Many people facing haja is more serious than one person. So when a society is facing haja, it is close to a state of emergency. It is treated like darura. Yeah. Haja to the individual is haja. So that's why you will find a woman, she is afraid of her safety. Why? Because of London bombing. 7 July, 9 July something, 7 July bombing, London bombing. So the Islamic Council of Britain, the Mufti, the head was, Allah yarhamuhu, Sheikh Zaki Badwi. He said he got a phone call in their answering machine, over 1,400 messages and phone calls. People calling. I'm afraid to go to work with my hijab. Can I remove my hijab? Can I put a hat instead? Can I this? Can I that? There's fear. If it was just one individual, you will say you are facing a haja. When it's a whole number of people, they treat it like a darura. So he said, yes, you can remove your hijab. Why is this subject important? Because this is where a fatwa is given that makes halal what is haram, or the other way around. But if you are not in that society, you will not understand. How can an educated mufti say this? And this is a big, this subject is not taught in ulumul Quran. You don't read this in ulumul hadith. You don't read this in general fiqh. Why? Fiqh is just, this is the answer. Yeah. It's only when you are going into usul and qawaid and applying it to context, then you study this. And unfortunately, may Allah protect us from darura and haja. But if Maldives is to face one haja or darura, and your mufti is to go by the correct way and say this is now halal, others will not listen to him. Why? They don't know how he arrived at this conclusion. Which is why if you don't raise the level of many of the ulama and da'wah people, these Facebook people, you say something, they will start saying you don't know Quran. Yeah. Allah says this is haram, you want to say halal? Subhanallah. What has happened to our ulama? He's been paid by the government. He's been paid by the West. He's been, we have this in Nigeria. Yeah. What to do? You know where they say, where you said, in the country of the blind, why is the one-eyed still king? Wallahi, if we in da'wah don't lift that bottom, the obstacle for Islam will be Muslim ignorance. Yeah. Islam wants to move forward. It's just because we don't know finance that we have not blocked a lot of the ijtihad in Islamic finance. Yeah, we don't know anything about finance, so we keep quiet. Say sukuk is halal, okay, sukuk is halal. Takaful, no problem. But on areas we know about, you want to bring laws on marriage and women and non-Muslim and whatever, unfortunately, you will find obstacles. Not an easy question to answer. Yeah.
But the mufti should address in like a document is all everything you mentioned.
That's your job.
In case of these fatwas.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. The problem is, some people don't understand what is haram of the means and haram of the ends. What is that one? Darura haja. No, we know darura. We never heard of haja before. You know, tasini. I don't know it's tasini. You know, ad-darar yuzal, at-mashakkat. I never heard of this one before. Yeah, this is all philosophy. Yeah. So unfortunately, anyway. So you will forgive me. It's your minister that wants to see me. So hukum is the normal judgment on an issue. Fatwa is where you change because of something, whether darura, whether haja. If you ask most people what is doing this halal or haram, if you ask most people, they will give you the hukum. No, this is from the hukum shari. Yeah. So if you have the hukum alcohol, haram. That's the hukum. If you ask anybody, so who are you asking? If you ask a mufti who knows fatwa, who knows the sina'ah, how to construct and how fatwa is constructed, he will ask you more questions. Why? Everybody knows alcohol is haram. Why are you asking? Well, my uncle is in this situation. He has worked here for whatever. He now embraced Islam. He's still working in the alcohol brewery. Now you have somebody who is weighing. And he's taking care of the family. If he stops this work, he has no more work. This is what's going to happen to the family. Okay, so this is not simple, just give hukum. This is somebody who has to weigh, which is the greater, lesser evil. So if you ask the wrong person, you will get hukum. What is the context? If you don't give context, you will get hukum. What are the consequences? If the scholar, even if he is a good scholar, but you didn't put him in the full picture, he will normally just give you hukum. What to do when scholars differ? Number one, just remember every field scholars differ. Economists differ. Politicians, scientists differ. Doctors differ. So difference is not some new thing. There will always be differences. You can minimize the differences. So normally, for example, X specialists will also differ, but they are more going to agree than if it's GP, general practitioner. Just general graduate, doctor, first degree, whatever, whereas a specialist or a consultant will be more. So why do scholars differ? Sometimes it's ta'arud, conflicting evidence, and they differ. This one will do tarjih, this one will do jam, this one will do nasikh wa mansukh, this one will do wukuf, this one, different ways of handling conflicting evidence. Some, it's silence in the text. The Quran didn't say anything, or it's ambiguous, and they have the different formula of the madhahibs that they will use. Or they are in different contexts, and they have different assessment of the problem. This one is in Nigeria, this one is in Maldives, this one is in here, different context, different answer. This one is facing Haja, this one is Darura. This one is facing this, whatever. When scholars differ, what to do? Number one, tarjih. Now, tarjih usually means you go with the strongest opinion, but what actually is the correct one is jam, where they have reconciled the evidence. No khilaf, no ta'arud. They've reconciled it to have no problem. That's the strongest opinion in fiqh. So, jam, awla, it is superior than tarjih or naskh. Okay? So, where you find, so, and you know what I'm talking about.
So why is that not jam?
My mistake.
Okay.
I wrote 3 of them before. Jam, tarjih, naskh, etc., etc. So this one, but it's also because this is a common word they use for the, where does the rajih of evidence, you know, what's the preponderance of the evidence? So they would say that one would be strongest. Some would say which one is the opinion that solves the problem? Which one attains maqasid? Which one meets maslaha? Okay, so like for a leader, manutum bil maslaha, will conclude on what is in the best interest of the people. Some will say follow your madhab, especially if your case is going to go to court. Yeah. Why? It's the law of the land. If you go to Malaysia, it's Shafi. If you come to Nigeria, it's Maliki. So if you're going to handle something and you know it is going to go to court, respect the law of the land. Maldives, depends on the judge. Yeah. And we have some of that in Nigeria, where they even in our penal code, it will give, okay, judge can do ijma or qiyas or ijtihad, etc., etc. So it gives some flexibility. The problem is the qualification of the judge. Some of them, how to do that becomes a problem. If there's no madhab, there has to be a methodology. It can't just be hawa. It can't just be, no. That's why sometimes you have more than one judge. They will consult with each other, and they will. So if you ask the judge, they will tell you, no, we have a method.
In courts we have, but in normal life we
No, this is, yeah, which is what creates this unity and whatever. So the more we can upgrade people to know more about usul, to know more about qawaid, the less those mistakes. Yeah. So sometimes scholars will suggest you follow your own madhab, especially when they are afraid of talfiq and people abusing opinions. Some would say go with majority. Okay, go with majority. There's safety in numbers. Others will say look for the specialist. You know, this fasalu ahl dhikr, specialist. Yeah. Who somebody is asking sukuk in Islam? I don't know anything about sukuk. What is sukuk? This is Islamic finance. Anybody knows Islamic finance? Yep, he did Islamic finance. He's even lecturer in everybody. Allah ask him. Yeah. So we don't care about Jamhur when he's the expert. Yeah. If in medicine you ask who's the expert, yeah. Whereas if the topic is no, there's this hadith where hadith. Yeah. Wait, I don't know hadith, but he is a hadith scholar. Yeah. What do you know about the area? So this question of who's the specialist, depending on what's the issue that the scholars are differing about, or sometimes local scholar. Local scholar. If you want to know are people in haja or darura or what is the situation, you can't get fatwa from outside. You need somebody who understands the context. And this is very closely related to the question of urf or culture. Is something halal or haram when it's based on urf? Well, you need people who come from that area who can give the answer. Sometimes it's to give people the easiest. Yassir wala tu'assir. Don't, make things easier for people. Sometimes the leadership has already decided on what is to be the thing. Normally, leadership will base it on maslaha. But sometimes we disagree with leadership. However, if it's something of national interest, keeps unity, then you should respect the leadership. Atiullah wa atiur Rasul wa ulil amri minkum, etc.
We have a Grand Mufti, I think, solve this problem, right?
Yes, it can solve the problem. So what you have, for example, like in Malaysia, they actually have every state with its own mufti. Okay, because it's a big place. So here, if it's a small place and one mufti will do the solution and they will respect him, then yes. But normally, even the Grand Mufti has a majlis, people who he consults with that are respectable, and when they conclude, then it becomes Then, lastly, your heart. Istafta qalbuk walau aftaka. Walau aftaka. Walau aftakal maftun. This question of, at the end of the day, what do you choose to do? You will meet Allah on the day of judgment. So always have that. Why? Because everybody, are you going to go with specialist? Are you going to go with local scholar? Are you going to go with majority? Are you going to do whatever? In this situation, what's the best thing to do? Ultimately, there has to be ikhlas in your decision making. Not looking for some way of using a halal means to do haram. Yeah. At the end of the day, this is about deen. It's nasiha. It's sincerity in everything we do. So conclusion, the need to appreciate unity in diversity and the greater good. The other thing is need to recognize you could be wrong and to always be curious, to always be humble. Every time we are learning new things, every time we are learning new things, as much as we know, there's the possibility that we are wrong. And in the next 2 years, 1 year, 5 years, one day, you'll realize you are making a big mistake. So to really try and be humble. Apologies for having taken too much time. I know there's one more topic, but there's also a boss. Let me say something on atheism. Yeah, they say he wants me to see him at 1:45. I don't know whether he wants to see me quickly and come back.
Yeah, maybe. You can ask there's the state minister.
Sheikh Ilyas, how are you? Okay. Arji al-ana or... Oh, okay.